Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning to talk about some ways to organize and make your kitchen space work as best as possible. This workshop is being recorded. We're going to send you a copy of the recording as well as the workbook, so that way you can take a look at it at your own time and then decide which of these tips may work best for you for your own space. Here we go. Just a little bit about me. My name is Olga St Pierre, and I have been in my real estate practice for the last 16 years. And as you can imagine, when we're talking about a home, of course, kitchens are one of the places that a lot of the times people are attracted to. And this workshop kind of came about from talking to some of my clients and them posing the questions to me, hey, what does that look like? And of course, how things change over the years. So our practice have been in existence for the last 16 years. We truly do enjoy hosting these community workshops, whether they are on Zoom or in person. And please note that we're here to help you, even if you're not thinking about making a move in the near future. Please take advantage of our concierge service. We're here to help you basically with anything from A to Z that pertains to homeownership, to community engagement. So if you're looking for something or you want to pick my brain, I will have my contact information to you at the end of this workshop. So why is kitchen organization is so important? If you really think about it, and you know what? I challenge you to count how many times you walk into your kitchen in one day. It really is the first place that we see when we wake up. This is where we start our day. And this is where we plan out our day. And of course, it's one of the last places at the end of the day when we wrap up and we kind of do our thinking and we have our night routine and we then get ready for the next day. And a lot of the times, having it clean and ready and tidy for a new day is just important to help you visually have a moment of clarity and cleanliness and good, nice, clean slate. So, a few tips. I invite you to think about working in your kitchen, whether you're a cook or not, and think about your kitchen as if it's in a restaurant. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, when there's a checklist of things that the restaurant is going to do to close it up. So putting things away, cleaning the table, countertops, running the dishwasher, and it's just a routine to kind of wrap up. And a lot of times it just gives you a little bit of a sense of satisfaction too. Sometimes if you don't want to do it alone, you know what? Let's get our family members together and having them help you as well, whether it's your kids or your significant other. You can even make it fun and turn on the music. And I love putting on Frank Sinatra. It's just calming and relaxing. And then just kind of working our way around, right? Starting, let's say, from the left and working our way all the way to the right. So now let's dive in and talk about a few things that all organized things have in common. And then you can decide for yourself which of these things make sense to you, because all of our kitchen spaces are truly different. So the first one is, and I invite you to think about it this way, is think about all the wall space that you have that perhaps you could use for something fun. Could it be creating a coffee or a tea nook with having some of the hooks to hang your mugs, baskets for maybe coffee or your sugars or some of the other yummies that you prefer to put into your drinks. It could be baggies to have to put in your potatoes or onions or other things that may be used on a regular basis. I was just on Facebook yesterday and somebody posted using the file dividers or the magazine stands, those metal wire ones. They put them in the kitchen and they use them to store different dry goods. I thought that was a genius idea. And then another suggestion that they had was they were using the cubbies for toys because their kids were growing. So instead of donating those cubbies, they used them to store things in the kitchen as well. So I thought it was genius, just thinking about kind of, instead of saying, well, these things are for magazines only, or these things are for toys, you kind of expand your mind and say, you know what, how else I can use this to make the space that I have work better for me. So we have hanging baskets, we have hooks to hang our pots and pans. We have little cubbies that I see all the time. Like if you know of IKEA and you have been into one, they're big proponents of using your wall space. And I think a lot of that has to do because IKEA is coming from Europe, where you don't have a lot of space. You don't have a lot of floor space, but you have wall space. If you are in the apartment, maybe you live in the city, or maybe you're in an older home, how do you maximize that space? And using your walls and maybe even doing some hooks on the ceiling is one way to do that. Next up is keeping your counters clear. These are one of the things that we are passionate about when we are getting ready to put a home on the market and we work on doing pictures and getting some staging done. We do clear out the counters because visually, when you see a nice, clean, sparkling countertop, it just makes a world of difference. Also, when you clean stuff off of the countertops, it creates a visual appeal and shows you more space, even though in reality, if you were to measure the space, it may not be that much. But visually, when it's nice and clean, that's what it does. So at the same time, you don't want to put everything away, right? Because if you're cooking all the time, like I do in my family, I want certain things that are handy for me. So I create certain areas where the things live. So for example, I have my KitchenAid mixer and I have my Instapot in a certain spot all the time because those are the two appliances that I use on a regular basis. So I want you to think about the same thing. How are you going to organize some of these things that you use on a regular basis into different categories? And that's kind of like what we're talking about next is think about maybe the utensils you use on a regular basis, the spices, or maybe the dry goods, or it could be the oil and the salt. I'm just thinking about what I have in my own kitchen. There are certain things that I want in places that way, if I'm reaching for them, they are there. And these are the things that maybe you use every day to prepare the meals. So think about what that looks like to you. Instead of having to dig in your pantry or having your hands dirty because you are in the middle of the meal prep and then having to reach into the cabinets to look for those things. So just some food for thought. And of course, I am adding some of these photos for different things, different ways for you to set up that system that is going to work for you. Now, I know this is not going to be easy for a lot of you, but we are going to look through and ditch some of the unnecessary tools and appliances. And we have all been there. We have been guilty because we see a tool and you say, oh, this looks really useful. This looks really fun and easy. Yet I invite you to think about the last time you used this tool, or it could be that you bought it and never used it at all. And if you were to use it truly, how many times a year would you use it? Like, for example, a pineapple core remover thingy tool that you see on the left. I don't even know what it's called. But if you eat pineapple once a year, you can probably figure out just using a knife. Because if you have an appliance or a tool or a gadget or a basket or a container, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to keep going. It takes up a lot of space. So the goal here is try removing them from the kitchen and see how often you're going to go for them and grab them. If it's been more than 6 months, then let's donate them. Maybe somebody else is going to find something that is useful. Like I'll give you an example. If you look at these pictures, the one thing that I do keep is this is for the eggs, right? So if you cook the egg and you need to chop it up or you need to make like circles, I do use this tool on a regular basis. Do I use it every month, maybe, or every week? No, but I use it enough to keep it handy in my cabinet where I have my spices because I use it enough for me to justify and say, yes, I'm going to keep it. But the pineapple core or maybe ice cream machine or a popcorn machine or cotton candy machine, think about all these things that I see quite often as a parade. It's either taking up the space in your pantry, maybe on the steps to go down to the basement, or even in the basement taking up space. So I invite you to do this. It's part of your homework for you to go through and look at some of the things that you have in your kitchen that you could potentially move out out of the way. So another example I can give you is around the holiday time in the winter, I always do some reflecting, and I go through a lot of the areas in my house to see, okay, what is it that I haven't used in the last 12 months that I really need it? Because I do have limited space. I don't have a basement in my home. And what I discovered was that I have two crock pots that I have kept in my main pantry closet that take up a lot of space. I have a bigger one and a small one. And when I thought about it, I truly do use it once a year for a Thanksgiving pie giveaway when we use it to warm up some apple cider. And I said to myself, you know what? If I don't use it more often, I'm going to put it up in the attic. Do I use it? Yes. It's convenient when I'm hosting some other gatherings, not all the time. Do I want to keep it? Yes. But do I really need it to occupy that precious space in my pantry on a regular basis? Absolutely not. And that's exactly what I did. I put it in a box and I took it up to the attic because once a year I can climb up there and grab those items. So think of it this way too, is that you have a very precious space that you have in the areas that you go often. So how can you maximize that? And ditching the unnecessary tools and appliances is going to help you. Next up, having an organized spice cabinet. If you don't use a lot of spices, not a problem. You just have a designated space in your cabinet to do that, whether it's a drawer, whether it's a cabinet like I have, whether it's a little lazy Susan that you can rotate. If you have a lot of spices, think about how you can organize. I prefer to have my spices in glass containers. And also you have to remember, even though they're dried, I do think that they have a shelf life. They may not say it on the container. However, we do that. So one of the first things that I suggest that you do is go through the spices that you have to see which ones have been a couple years old. I don't think you want to eat them. And then decide on how you want to organize them. I have my salt is out all the time. And then I also have my first cabinet on to the right on my stove is where I keep all my spices that I use on the regular basis. And a few of the things that, for example, my daughter likes to use because she likes spicy things and I don't, I put in the second cupboard, in the second shelf, because we don't use those very often, yet my daughter likes to have them handy, but I don't want it to be mixed up with my main group of spices that I use on a regular basis. So designate those spots so that we know exactly where you're going to go to find these items that you need. Make them easily accessible and then decide on the system to help you get all these things organized. It could be a tiered shelf, it could be turntables, magnetic space racks, sliding out cabinet organizer, whatever is going to work for you with the space that you have. Next up is having a designated place for everything. I think it's also going to help you make your life easier, where you know exactly where you need to go to find those things. I believe that you should have it not just in your cupboards, but also in the refrigerator. If you know you're going to be reaching out for ketchup or mayo, they have a designated space in your refrigerator. And the same thing for your kitchen. Think about the system to help you make your life easier, because we all have a lot that is happening. And the last thing you want to do is scrounge when you're hungry and you're looking for something. You just try to make yourself a healthy meal and you can't find something that is important to you. So the ideas here are to use your drawers, to have organizers like Lazy Susans or clear containers, glass containers from like ragu sauce or pickles. I love those. Use some command hooks to hang things. Whatever it is that's going to make you happy and allow you to use up more of your airspace is the goal here. And here we are too about fridge and counter organizers. So this is where you can get creative. If you're on a budget, think about the things that you buy on a regular basis, like containers and glass, and using those. You can remake those Folgers plastic coffee containers. If you want, you can invest in some of the systems. They're easily found on Amazon. And did you know, and I actually have tested that theory, that the fruit is going to last longer if you're going to store it in the mason jar. So clean them really well. I love pickles and pasta jars because you're already paying for that glass, and use those jars to store things. I also like glass and prefer glass over plastic because it's better quality. It's going to last you longer. Plus it securely seals on top. So Invest in the system or decide on what you have currently that you can use and make it work for you. Next up, I know this is going to be hard for you guys, and that's okay, but we're just going to work through it. Let's not use our refrigerator as a message board. Have you ever walked into the houses in some of the people's kitchens, and then sometimes you can't even see the refrigerator because it has magnets all over the place of places you've been, things you need to do, lists, stickers, you name it, they have it. So when we're talking about getting ready or even just making the space look nicer and tidier, we don't use the refrigerator front. If you really need to, like my mom does it on the side of the refrigerator, not on the front, you can do that if that makes sense for you and it's convenient for you. However, I encourage you to have this information on the inside of a cabinet. If you have something that is a top cabinet that you want to use, or maybe you have a big pantry, you can always hang a cork board or a dry erase board and some hooks to help you get those things organized. You can have a little key ring holder. You can have a little box to store your notepads, information, things like that. The way I chose to handle it is I just have a regular shelf in my cabinet where I store some of those things. And then I also use the door for sticky notes, for reminders, recipes, things like that. So decide on what's going to help you and make sense for you. And also, I don't think it's a bad idea for you to go through some of those pictures, magnets. Maybe you have coupons that have been sitting on there that expired last year. It's time to recycle them and let them go. Next up, let's talk about recognizing the need and a desire to have open and closed storage. So here, what I'm talking about is if you use something on a regular basis, that could be open storage. So that could be what I gave you an example of me having my KitchenAid mixer as well as my Instant Pot. They're always out in the open because I use them almost daily in my meal prep. If you have a coffee bar, love that. That is something that you truly enjoy. And of course, you drink every day. You create, you have your break in between work. If you work from home, you get a cup of tea, something special. And it's that ritual of preparing it. It also gives you a little bit of break and a peace of mind. Absolutely. But at the same time, there is a place also to have closed storage that allows you to tuck things away, reducing visual clutter to also help you as well and help your mind relax. Plus, it also goes to keep your dishes and your glasses and things from getting dusty, and that is also important. So think about the space that you have and maybe things that you may want to do this year. If you don't have a coffee bar, that could be something that you may not want to work on. But also, could it be that you may need to rearrange some of the cabinets that you currently use to make them work better for you to have that closed storage? So that is another part of your homework today, to kind of think about what you have now, what you want to create, and how you're going to have your space work best for you. Labeling, love it, love it, love it. Again, the goal here is to help you make your life easier. So if you're using some containers that maybe are not clear because that's all you have, not a problem. Let's use a label. And if you don't have a label maker, that's okay. You can actually use a piece of paper and then you can tape right over it. And that is going to be your designation. If you have things that are clear, like glass or plastic containers, but you're going to be pouring something in there that you may not easily recognize, just use a label. This way you don't have to wonder and think about. And of course, there's all different kinds of ways for you to do labels. You can print them, you can handwrite them, you can use a Sharpie, you can use a painter's tape, and you can get colorful ones from Amazon. You can use a dry erase, you can do chalkboards. However it is that's going to make you happy and be your own system, that is what I suggest that you do. So we have fridge storage bin ideas. We have glass containers. We can do Sharpies. As you can see, there's lots of different ways. You just have to decide on which one makes sense for you. Next up is having a cleaning routine. I think this is one of these things that a lot of us get frustrated because, as you can imagine, cleaning never ends. And sometimes it's like, hey, I'm there with you. I get frustrated because I'm like, we have We have two children, and I think sometimes it's their mission in life to bring stuff for me to sort and put away, but that's okay. So my suggestion to you is ask yourself, how can I make my life easier? What are some of the things that I can do along with me spending time in the kitchen and cooking that I can do some cleaning? So it could be, for example, if you have put chicken in the oven, you know you have 45 minutes while it is cooking and roasting in the oven, that you can maybe walk around and do a little bit of cleanup. It could be something that even cleaning the floor or emptying the dishwasher and loading the dishwasher, cleaning your countertop, putting food away in the pantry, or reorganizing your refrigerator. You can accomplish quite a few things in the 45 minutes if you're waiting for your chicken to roast. Well, and then the other thought behind is thinking about and designing a system of the products that you're going to use that are going to work for you in multiple locations. You don't need to have 50 different cleaners. One is for the kitchen, one is for the bathrooms, and one is for the windows. There are products that are out there that are all for one that can help you save on space and sanity as well. I love Scrub Daddy. It is inexpensive and it works on a multitude of different things. I also love Weinmann products. They're great for stainless steel products. Cedar Mop, I'm also a fan of. It's easy to use, and then you can throw the mop head in the washer to clean. And just think about what are some of the things that you do on a regular basis. Maybe you do meal prep once or twice a week. That means that you going to do some more cleaning after you meal prep. It could be your designated days of maybe Sunday evening and perhaps Wednesday evenings. So think about what your routine could be: a quick daily clean, then what are you going to be doing on a weekly basis, and then tackle some of the bigger projects on the monthly basis. Countertops. So just to keep in mind that in order for you to clean the countertops, depending on the material that they're made out of, you may need to have a different system. So here's a kind of a rule of thumb here for you in a reference guide to use. If you have granite and marble countertops, here's some things that you may want to do. Wiping spills and spots immediately. Don't use any kind of citrus or vinegar ingredients. And then suggestion is just to use a product specifically made for granite and stone. If you have laminate countertops, don't use bleach or any other abrasive cleaners. You can just do a spray cleaner on a paper towels or a washcloth. If you have quartz countertops, there are products that are made specifically for that product, just to help you make sure that you protect your investment, because these countertops are not cheap. Stovetops, depending, of course, what you have. If you have gas, which is what I have, you can do some wiping grates. What I like to do is I like to pour hot water in between my, in between the areas, and just let it sit and soak. And then once it cools off, then all I have to do is use my Scrub Daddy and just wipe everything off. It just makes them easier. I don't have to worry about it. I also love to use baking soda if I need to do some scrubbing. And again, it's a natural product. If you have sensitivity maybe to smells like I do, it's an easier product for you to use, and it's also inexpensive. And of course, there's also other ways. If you have electric stove, if you have a smooth top, if you have glass, there are different ways for you to approach those to clean. So if perhaps maybe you got a new appliance or you're trying to figure out the best way of doing it, I have some suggestions here for you to review. So that is what I want to share with you. Lots of food for thought in terms of what you can do with your kitchen. If you are like me, it is one of your favorite places in your home. So why not set up a system? Why not decide on how all the spaces are going to work for you to make sure that it fits you and you're happy every time that you're walking in? So let me know how I can help you. What I already mentioned to you, this page has all of the contact information on how you can reach out to me directly, how you can scan the information to get some free resources that we have available. Bit.ly link in the middle of the page is our upcoming workshops that we have in person as well as on Zoom, and our YouTube channels that you can subscribe to and also look at previous recordings of these workshops. So that's what I have to share with you today. Let me stop sharing. And We did put the workshop information in the chat. And also, Debbie, if you would like to get a copy of the recording as well as the workbook, if you can private message me in the chat and let me know your email address, we'll be happy to do that. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to get you the information that I promised. Oh, thank you so much, Debbie. I appreciate it. I got it. All right. Any questions that you have so far that you may want to pick my brain on, or comments or anything else maybe that's working for you that you want to share? You're welcome to unmute yourself, or if you want, you can put in the chat as well. All right. Well, if nothing further, have a wonderful day. Happy spring. To me, it's this is the month to get happy and excited because all of the flowers are popping up. And if you need to talk to me in private, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to help you be a sustainable and responsible homeowner, and of course, enjoy our community and enjoy your home. So have a wonderful day, and we will see you again soon. Bye-bye.